Hi there, Dave Levine here. Thanks for joining me for today's reflections from a people developer and a podcast host. It's Wednesday morning, and this is Tuesday's reflections, which I know sounds a little bit strange, but I ended up at the end of yesterday with quite a bad headache, and I just didn't feel like I needed to look at another screen or to really concentrate on giving my reflections. So I gave myself a bit of a break and decided to just capture some thoughts this morning. So my reflections back on yesterday were partially the fact that I had a headache and I was wondering what that was all about. And I'm conscious that I'm carrying a huge amount of content and information and work in my head at the moment. And maybe the manifestation of a headache is a little bit about, actually, am I really managing that efficiently and effectively and really looking after myself? So there's a kind of a note to self there about just managing the amount of work and making sure I get sufficient break and downtime to make sure that I'm as effective as I possibly can. So that's my first point, is about sort of managing myself and content. The second one is about feedback. Yesterday was a really interesting day in terms of feedback. One, because, the first point being that I actually received some feedback from a client that I did a session for a week or so ago at a football academy, and it went really well in my eyes, but there were some little parts which were still sort of niggling away and I wasn't quite sure if they landed or not. And my expectations coming into the meeting yesterday, where I wasn't sure what the feedback would be, was interesting. So watching my emotions and my anxiety, thinking, oh, did it land, did it not land, how would the client feel, and so on. But then getting the feedback that the program kind of whet the appetite, the participants felt intrigued and it felt like there was a mystery around what was coming next. It felt really good. And then beginning to go on the journey, that recognizing that it's not my sole purpose to be able to to make them learn, and actually they have to take some responsibility and accountability for their own learning journey, and it's the program's role to facilitate that environment and give the opportunity. So that felt really great, getting that positive feedback. The second one is that I was doing a written report which needed to land, and I was just really keen to make sure that it was good for the client and that it landed appropriately, and that I'd met the required expectation and quality and depth. And again, that I know is a little bugbear of mine in terms of written reports. I often feel a little bit uncomfortable and try really hard and push it really for a long time, really, to make sure that I give it the very best I can and give the quality that I hope will be sort of received and expected. And the feedback being positive. I got a response saying that was a super report, thanks very much. A few little typos that needed changing and a few fonts, but that's by the by, really. So it made me really reflect on the way in which feedback is given and the way in which I'm set up to receive it, and that's such a key point in the learning journeys that I'm developing for others. And that did feed into my work yesterday afternoon, developing the online program that I'm doing, and how do I integrate that kind of feedback mechanism. So that was my second kind of point from yesterday. And again, my last point, very quickly, is probably just about if you focusing on that process and keeping things moving is really motivating. And I actually felt that I achieved some ground in developing the online program yesterday, which was really lovely to feel and to experience, because it's long and it's hard work, and I just hope that I can develop something that ultimately I can land. And later today I've got a conversation about how I can actually make more people aware of the programs and the work that I'm doing, because albeit I'd like to make some money so I can actually reinvest it and generate some noise and interest. I really believe it could make a difference to a lot of people, so I really hope I can push that forward this afternoon as well. Okay, well, thanks very much for listening in. It's been really good to capture them this morning, and hopefully I'll feel a bit better later on today as well to capture today's reflections. So over and out from me. Bye for now.